to come up with a plan for a solution. So we presented the students with a problem, which was the Onondaga sewer overflow stuff, and we presented them with the solution, which is Save the Rain, where we construct the rain barrels 2 to 3 weeks in advance, and then we go through our regularly intended lessons, and then we come back later on after the rain barrels are constructed, and basically we allow the students to design what type of test they're going to use that collected water for, and then they're going to um, either research it or really designed a test where they can use our lab probes to decide, like, I don't know, throwing something out there, using barreled water versus regular water from the lake, and test that on seeds, I guess could be an example for an experiment that they come up with. But we're going to totally leave it student oriented at that part. And at the end, they're going to kind of do what we do and have a PowerPoint slide where they take us through their steps of the experiments, where they observed things and asked some questions, and then they made predictions about the questions that they have and formed hypotheses, and then a big data collection entry where obviously you collect and analyze the data that you collect, and it always depends on what type of thing that they're doing, and you summarize the steps that you went through, and then you draw some conclusions. So if we were doing a test of the seedlings, Onondaga lake water versus rain barrel water, my guess is that if it's if the sewage is still present at Onondaga Lake, I'm guessing that that plant's going to do a little bit better. But you could do nitrate tests, phosphate tests, and kind of get into what the first group had, etc. But at the end, they'll be presenting as a perspective. There'll be perspective taking, and they'll choose being a resident, a policymaker, or an environmentalist in a wastewater treatment plant. And as they go through the slides, students will be answering on a sheet some questions about things. So if that was one big run-on sentence, I intended to make it that. And if you have any questions, I'll try to take them now.
Nice work, Billy. And we don't have time for too many questions anyway, but I hope you all do have each other's emails. I'll send them again. Do keep up with each other on these projects. Um, the team, and don't forget, you're going to vote on each other. Team 6 is actually composed of Ben, Denise, and Andrew. So while I introduce them, if they could walk up, that would be good. And these folks were all teaching and developed a somewhat common theme. They gave me some different slides. Let me see if I can find the first one. No, I pulled over Billy's. So I may go through their slides a little bit quickly, and we won't have time for each one to put in as much time because they were sort of a team together. I'll turn off my mic, give them the floor, and among the three of you, and unfortunately I can't tell exactly who's here and who isn't because the names aren't all clear. If you could come to the front, and I don't know if you've coordinated your talk, but we'll give you maybe 6-7 minutes just to explain what you're doing, and I'll pull the slides over if you indicate which ones you want to go. I think I've got Ben's first, then I've got Denise's, and at the very end I have Andrew's. Andrew or Denise, are you here? Ben's here, but he's having trouble speaking.
I'm here.
Okay, Denise, why don't you either talk from where you are or come forward? Okay, and I can start pulling your slides over. I think they're the second set. You're all looking at one way or another solving some sort of crimes through biology. So Denise, I'm going to start pulling your slides over.
Okay, so I wanted to do a unit on genetics, and my narrative would be the case of the bludgeoned investigator. And basically what I wanted to do was to have the students work in groups and do a crime scene analysis and investigation about a investigator in a lab that basically got his experiments stolen, and so the kids would have a narrative about that, and what happened in the classroom would be set up as a university, and within that university there would be many different types of lab, and those labs would be really stations within the classroom. And the first lab would have a principal investigator, and each lab will actually, each station at in the classroom would students would rotate and learn different lesson plans in that unit of genetics. And so like the first lab, it would be like a fly lab. The background for the case would be one chilly winter's night on December 21st, 2010. Dr. Yang, he's a principal investigator in one of the labs, was finishing an important investigation before the Christmas holiday break. He was excited about a prospect of a new discovery in the area of gene manipulation. Dr. Yang wanted to be the first to unveil his research for the top prize of $1 million research grant from the NIH at an upcoming symposium in January. If he won the top prize, he would be the first to publish at a prestigious journal called Science. At one of the no one at the institute, which would be our classroom, we would call the classroom the Institute of Biological Research. And within the institute there are many labs, and Dr. Yang is responsible for one of the labs, which would be one of the stations in our classroom. And so on that night,
Denise,
around
I don't
8:30
think
p.m.,
we'll
Dr.
have
Yang,
time to hear the whole thing, but everybody can go and
okay,
read this because we still do have a fair number more
okay,
to follow. But
well, okay, well, basically, Dr. Yang was hit over the head with a blunt object and taken to the hospital, and his notes and experiments were stolen. And so the kids, the students will have an opportunity to investigate and try to figure out who did it and what the motive was. And by doing so, they would rotate through the different labs or the different stations in the classroom and learn different techniques that they would apply to using to solve this case. Um, and then they would do a PowerPoint presentation, also a mock trial of the case. So that's all I have.
very good. I think the idea of solving a problem, a hypothetical one as it is, but we'll keep their interest. Very nice. Um, I think I don't know if Andrew's here. I'm going to pull his slide over quickly, simply because, oops,
Everything
wrong
is
one.
different here.
Sorry.
Ooh, it's working.
Yeah, I can hear. Is that your voice, Andrew? I'm going to turn this off and try to find.
No, this is Ben. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Ben, your voice came on.
I had to reboot. Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Do you want me to try to find yours? If you can do a 1-minute summary, I will put yours on and I'll turn my mic off.